Hey everyone, welcome to Zealots. I'm Forrest.
Matt.
And I am Chip.
So today should be a short episode. We're going to talk about Andor. This is episode 9, I believe. So this was, I have to say, it took the 9 episodes, but I'm finally excited for the next episode of Andor. So I think this prison arc is definitely the best arc they've done so far. So I think they've definitely done a good job in creating this nightmare fuel prison. This is an awful prison, and I'm really excited to see how Andor is going to escape, because it definitely seems that's the direction they're going to head. Hopefully, the rest of the season will not be take place in the prison. Hopefully, they get out next episode, but I don't know. We'll see. So, Matt, what did you think of this episode? Was this the highlight of the season for you, or you still think the Eye was the best one?
I think the Eye is definitely the best one, but I have to acknowledge all of the nods to George Lucas in these last 2 episodes with THX 1138. Almost everything is a nod to George Lucas, and
that's amazing.
Really well done. While it hasn't been the best episode, this series has just blown me away, and it's on par definitely with The Mandalorian. So I'm really excited.
Well, I think the problem I have with this show is there's just a lot of filler. The first 2 episodes, obviously, and the 2 episodes leading up to the heist before the Eye, were just a filler for me and weren't too interesting. But I think these episodes setting up the climax to the prison arc are really interesting, because we're seeing this prison system, obviously inspired by THX, like you said. But it's there's a really it's an interesting system, and it's very unique and something we haven't seen in Star Wars before.
But I will challenge you on that, because it's not just filler for the show; it is expanding the broader universe. And what they've done in 9 episodes of this show has expanded the Star Wars universe more than what other shows or movies have done. And so, there's a lot of filler, but you're seeing the ISB, you're seeing the paper tiger of the Empire. You're seeing all these
wisdom.
What was that, Tip?
I do want to say, you cannot have the meat before the rice.
You can't have the meat before the rice. That's true, but I think I've said before, this definitely, every episode of Andor definitely blows away any episode of Boba Fett or Kenobi.
Definitely.
I even the boring episodes, the episodes where not much is happening. The writing is still still amazing compared to what we got in those shows. And
and so I'll put it this way: what frustrates me about the MCU right now is they're using She-Hulk, Captain America and Winter Soldier, all these shows to kind of build the background for their movie releases, but they just don't expand it enough for me to care about it. Whereas Andor is expanding this universe so that way we can have other movies or shows, and it's just done in a much better manner, where I'm actually still intrigued about the main storyline, but now I'm intrigued about the possibilities where it can go.
Yeah, well, it's sort of everyone wants Dave Filoni to take over from Kathleen Kennedy, but I'm just the writing is so good. I hope Tony Gilroy does more than 2 seasons of Andor, or he does something else Star Wars related, because I think it seems, like you said, they're definitely building for something. But I think the original plan for this show was 5 seasons, but then they cut it down to 2 for some reason. They've already started season 2, I think. So, but I don't know. We'll see how the season ends. So, they could still drop the ball somehow, but I'd say of all the 4 shows we were covering, this is, I think, story-wise and writing-wise, this is way better than House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, obviously, and more obviously She-Hulk. So, I think this late summer, early fall TV season, this is definitely the best show. So it's definitely a big surprise. And I thought the cliffhanger with the Doctor telling them everyone on level 2 is just massacred,
Yep, just because they screwed up and sent somebody from level 4.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, I didn't realize this, but I watched, I think, a new Rockstar's review, and they basically said, the reason that Andor's sentence was extended from 6 months to 6 years was because the Aldani heist. They're cracking down on all criminal activity.
Well, because of the the legislation that they're passing. This is what's interesting, too, is that they haven't officially passed the legislation, but they're already using it, and they're just waiting for the sentence to rubber stamp it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about what they're doing in the writing here is that the Empire really doesn't need the Senate. They just need them to rubber stamp things. They're going to do what they want.
It's just all for show.
Yep, it's all for show, just to justify everything. But they're already doing. And I think it's great too, because what they're showing with this whole prison scene too is that in reality, it doesn't matter. They just need extra slave labor to build the Death Star, because this is really what they're doing. Is they need slave labor to build the Death Star. And this is kind of, as a nerd, where I get kind of frustrated, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go, because we all know that the Empire enslaved the Wookiees and use them as slave labor to build it physically, but now we're kind of seeing well, where did they get the parts to build the Death Star?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I thought this was this random Empire equipment, but I think that the big twist at the end of the season could be, or even next episode, that this is all equipment going to build the Death Star. And it's sort of...
And Cassian finds out about it, and that's why he's kind of really big on finding out where this Death Star is in Rogue One and everything.
Really enhances Rogue One, because he really wants this thing destroyed now, because I was literally in this hellish prison helping to build it. But it also kind of destroys the conversation that Randall and Dante had in Clerks about all the innocent contractors getting killed when they blew up the Death Star. Because I don't remember that conversation, but they're just the Emperor had to hire private contractors to build the Death Star.
Well, if I'm working on a roof of a mob boss and I know he's a mob boss and he offs me, that's my fault.
But it sort of falls apart if even the rebuilt Death Star, and I guess the initial Death Star were both built by slave labor, which definitely seems to be the case here.
But also explains why there's no railing anywhere to prevent guys from falling into the laser. So.
Good point.
Well,
fuck yeah.
it seems that there's no there's no electricity going on when they're coming down the railing. Do I understand that correctly? Or I'm trying to figure out how they're going to escape next episode.
So my theory is Mon Mothma's, is it Belle, her sister?
Belle,
yeah. I don't know. There's so many theories about it. Either they're gonna do something, and then Belle's gonna show up at the last minute with oh, I'm an Imperial officer with what's her name, her girlfriend there, and be like, oh, we're gonna save you, and they're like, we saved ourselves. So it's actually kind of, they have several possibilities lined up as to how they're doing it. I can see them escaping the prison, but escaping the planet is going to be an issue. So,
well, I'm sure a lot of Andor knows how to fly, ships and stuff, but we just don't know what the security is surrounding the planet. Are there Star Destroyers surrounding the planet?
Or TIE fighters.
Yeah,
exactly.
Probably TIE fighters too. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen. It's probably gonna be a big episode. I'm hoping. I just hope there's it's not gonna be another setup episode. They've already set up 2 episodes of the prison, but hopefully they are gonna escape next episode.
So this next episode is gonna be them hatching their escape plan, and they're gonna start their escape plan.
Yeah, that seems to be
and then
the
it's
way.
gonna be cut to black next week.
Yeah. Same Andor time, same Andor channel.
Exactly. So they're going to come up with a plan, and they're going to start the plan, and then something's going to go wrong, and then it's going to cut to black.
Which just goes to show that 12 episodes was not what Tony Gilroy wanted to do, but it seems like he's trying to stretch it out across. He had 5 or 6 really good episodes planned, and they had to stretch it out across 12. it seems.
And I will say this, I love, and I forget, one of the Marvel shows did this as well. I love how an episode could be 32 minutes or it can be 57 minutes. The episode's long enough to tell the story, but not to drag it on. And so I love that flexibility, especially with the season, because we had back-to-back episodes that were like 42 and then 47 minutes. And then like this last episode was 53. So,
well, bear in mind the last 12 minutes are all credits. So
yeah, really, they're
really only like half an hour each.
But you get what I'm saying. Like they just do enough to tell the whole story, and then they stop. So.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned THX earlier, and it just made me think. I haven't seen that movie, but I know of it. I know it was like George Lucas's first film, and they're all dressed like they were in the sci-fi movie. It's like a very repressive, sort of like prison-like society. But
I will say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, just basically like because I'm gonna transition over to Deidre Miro. That it definitely seems they're turning the Empire in this show into like Ingsoc from 1984.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very repressive, and they're really infiltrating like every infrastructure and facet of society in this show. And Deidre Miro reminds me a lot of O'Brien in 1984, where like this is the Empire where we've never seen them this competent or this dangerous before, and I think it's pretty refreshing, but it really also makes you root for the good guys more, because the bad guys are competent and good at their jobs, and they're more of a challenge for the good guys to overcome. But yeah, so it reminds me a lot of THX, which I haven't seen, but more so 1984. So I don't know if we're getting those vibes as well, but that seemed, I don't know if that was the intention of the showrunners, but that's sort of what I was sort of. And like the Emperor's like big brother, like they just mentioned him by name. We hadn't seen him obviously yet. We haven't even like seen like an image of him, but he's definitely like mentioned a lot in this show, and he's sort of like the big brother of the Ingsoc of the Star Wars universe. So.
The Ingsoc.
Yeah, English socialism. Is that what it was? That was the name of the party in 1984, right, Tip? INGSOC. Yeah, so it's like reminds me a lot of that. And Deidre Miro is basically like the O'Brien of the Empire. So what do you think of Syril Karn stalking Deidre? I was not expecting that.
I wanted to bring this up because I think that was one of the best acted scenes of the show because of how creepy and awkward it was. Yeah. Like I'm just getting nothing but creepy, awkward vibes off of that interaction, to the point where I'm kind of imagining Syril at one point like kidnapping Deidre, and just being like his obsession leads him to that. I don't know. It was
kind of like Jabba with Leia.
Yeah, exactly. I felt so uncomfortable watching it that I'm like, where's this going? I don't know how I feel about this. It's really well acted, but it made me feel awkward.
Yeah, that was definitely intention, but yeah, I did not. That was a completely 180 for his character, because all we like know about him is like he lives with his nagging mother and wants to get Andor, but
I think the issue is like, are we focusing on his obsession, or is his obsession with Andor and her obsession with Cassian of Andor like making him think that there's like this like weird love interest between the two, and like he's gonna like stop focusing on Cassian and like start stalking her? It's just, I don't know, it gave me the creeps.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm wondering what's going to happen. Maybe he's going to throw him into the prison with Andor, and that'd be kind of an awkward reunion for those two. But I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of confrontation between Andor and Syril Karn, or at the very least, Andor and Miro before the season's over, because we know Vel is trying to find Andor to kill him. We didn't see Luth in this episode, so I'm interested to see where his story's gonna go next. He's pretty much just like at the antique store talking to Mon Mothma. That's basically just been his arc the entire season for most of the season anyway. So hopefully he's gonna leave the antique store.
I will say this: one of the best scenes in this whole series has been between him and Saw Gerrera, which like it's only a few minutes, but once again, that like 2-minute scene sets up the universe so much more than what I've seen written throughout any other show.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever heard the word neo-Republican in a Star Wars show before, but we heard it. Obviously, it doesn't mean what we conceive as neo-Republicans in America, but I thought it was interesting terminology they chose.
Well, also how they're talking about the separatists, how there's still like groups from the Clone Wars who are still like trying to separate, and so like the battles from Clone Wars are still going on is essentially what he's implying. Not just that we want to break away from the Empire and form a new republic, but also we want to be, what they were trying to set up in the first movie, Phantom Menace. Those guys are still, out there.
Yeah, like the Banking Guild, and the Techno Union, and the Trade Federation, all of them.
The
so
Spice Guild.
I think the Spice Guild was one of them. So
hey, the spice must flow.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like they have like absolutely no shame about ripping off Dune in the Star Wars universe. But I think it would be interesting maybe in next season to maybe explore some of these separatist groups that have sort of like, I think you mentioned one called the Gorman Front. You know what that's about? Is that like a separatist, or is it just sort of a different rebellion?
So basically part of that is that the Empire is like super racist, and I don't know if you're familiar with Admiral Thrawn, how he's one of the few like Palpatine tries like he's not human, and he is I forget what he's from the Outer Rims, and I forget what type he is at the top of my head, but from
he's like the same race as the professor from Futurama.
Yep. So basically you have an alien race that try to separate, and therefore they're being punished by the Empire, but they're being further punished because they're not human type deal.
Okay. Yeah, so it definitely seems there's a lot of these rebellion groups, and that a lot of them just aren't politically aligned with what Saw Gerrera wants. Saw Gerrera just wants the Republic to come back, but a lot of the other groups just want to overthrow both the Empire and not bring back the Republic and instill something else. I guess like some sort of anarcho-capitalistic sort of society throughout the galaxy.
But like another thing too, like with the Gorman system, with what they're going with, is that that system is like in the Outer Rim, and they're trying to show kind of like Firefly, how the Outer Rim systems are really the first that kind of like the Empire really doesn't like say anything out here. When they show up, we pretend to like show allegiance, but for the most part, like they're the first ones that kind of like break away. And so the fact that the Empire is trying to crack down on an Outer Rim system is kind of this idea of, hey, we recognize that you're Outer Rim, but you're still part of the Empire. And this kind of shows the like paper tiger and the overreach that the Empire is. So
yeah, well, hopefully
true, the Empire was definitely not good. Like they're trying to demonstrate like, yeah, fascism does not work. Dictatorship under Darth Vader is not a good thing, and dictatorship under anyone is not a good thing. And so I think first of all, the political message in the first Star Wars films was like, hey, these guys trying to control you via force. But the people who are trying to lead by like, hey, you have a choice by electing these representatives. So it's always trying to reinforce the ideal of democracy, and to instill that in the fabric of society requires us to like, what do we consume, right? We are what we consume. So we consume a lot of entertainment. We consume a lot of like things. So in consuming this message, we are reinforced in our ideology that, yeah, fuck those bastards who would like try and force ideals and ways and imprison and enslave people. Fuck those people. And instead, rebel and fight with all you can, i.e. vote, because that's what's important, and select people who, don't want that.
Who properly represent you, unless you're going to end up with Jar Jar Binks giving Palpatine emergency powers.
Oh, Jar Jar!
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, Tip, I think you'd really like this show because it really delves into the political science of Star Wars, and
it really does.
And like, there's like one character who writes a manifesto for the rebellion, and obviously doesn't like get too extremely detailed with it, but it just like bring up the idea of like, totalitarianism versus, representative democracy.
But I love how too, when Mon Mothma is talking about the Gorman front, how literally senators just kind of walk away and the lights are shutting off, listening, because they just don't care. And it shows how like the Senate has become a rubber stamp for the executive, which is pretty much where we're at right now in the United States. So it's really well written and on so many levels. So
well said, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm trying to remember the who's Deidre Miro's supervisor, Parzigan or something like that. I'm trying to remember what that whole conversation they had. Like they're closing on Andor, it seems, because some of the Aldhani, or they're closing on the Aldhani insurgents because someone shaved or something like that. They were cleanly shaved. So I'm trying to remember like what was the purpose or the significance of that scene.
Because the idea of Imperials are supposed to be, when they broke into Aldhani, they were pretending to be Imperial soldiers. So you look for any Aldhani who's clean shaven, because as a soldier you have to be clean shaven, or else if you show up with a beard, we're obviously going to know you're a spy or whatever, because you have to be in certain dress code uniform. So they're saying go after every Aldhani who's clean shaven, because technically in our thought process, if you're clean shaven, you're one of the spies.
Oh, okay. So yeah, sort of like what Luthen said, like people are going to suffer.
And that's what I love about the show too, because Luthen is not it's that Machiavellian kind of idea. Do the ends justify the means? Luthen wants people to get arrested. Luthen wants people to be in prison. Luthen wants people to suffer, because the more they suffer, the more they're going to oppose the Empire. So Luthen's goals are kind of like sinister to justify them rebelling. So I think, you can't really root for Luthen, because, Mon Mothma wants to do it through like these proper channels and like formally align everybody. And Luthen's like, no, I want people to suffer to really understand what they're missing out on. Yeah. And so that's an interesting dynamic too.
And don't forget, he's trying to kill Andor as well. So
everybody's trying to kill Cassian of Andor.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we got to talk about Mon Mothma's story this episode. She's just basically trying to get some money moved to help the rebellion, and she has to like make a deal with this gangster. I'm wondering if he's going to be like a Jabba the Hutt kind of gangster. I'm pretty sure he's going to be like another human dude, but I'm wondering if they're going to get like a big name actor to play him.
Well, I'm curious as to whether or not they're trying to write in whether Perrin will actually become jealous of his lack of control, and her, I don't know why the banker, like him thinking that, oh, she is cheating on me, and like challenging him to a duel or something. Like, we all know that the rebels end up having to like pull Mon Mothma out because she, the Empire's about ready to arrest her, but I'm really curious as to whether or not like her husband's going to be the cause.
Yeah,
or
I
her
think
daughter,
I
or
think,
her.
yeah, I think I said that last episode. Like, I'm pretty sure like her daughter or husband's gonna turn her in or just betray her or something.
Or is Perrin going to be upset about how she talks to this banker guy and turn her in, or is her daughter going to be the one? Because they're kind of setting up like her daughter is very
like,
spoiled and kind of a jerk.
She's sort of like what's the children's party in 1984? They basically turn in their parents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For Ingsoc. She's like in the Palpatine youth or whatever. And she's really into Palpatine. Yeah, so the Hitler Youth. So she's like really into Palpatine. She doesn't have like posters of like Harry Styles. She has posters of a shirtless Palpatine in her room.
That is disgusting, Forrest. You take that back immediately.
He has like more I guess
at
breasts.
least like Darth Maul.
Then he has like he has like several forehead chins. He has like several like chest chins. So, but yeah, I guess she's like really. I don't know if she's into Palpatine, but she's probably like gonna turn her mom. It seems that way. Like either her husband, or maybe one of them is gonna wind up getting killed because someone betrayed the other. But I'm guessing the banker, is he part of the banking guild from the prequel trilogy?
I don't. I'm not sure. That's something I'd have to look up.
See, that would be cool. Like to explore those other like. These corporations that popped up to start the Confederacy of Independent Star Systems. So like to see them like sort of reemerge, in different forms. That'd be sort of cool. It's not just like Rebellion versus Empire. Like have more of these separate entities like the Gorman Front, obviously, and just try to like they want to topple the Empire too, but they're not going to reinstill the Republic. So that'd be an interesting story to explore. I think so. I think that'd be cool. Like, she makes this deal with this dude. It would actually be more ironic that she's trusting this banker dude, but he's the one that betrays her. So it's not Perrin or her daughter.
Yeah, maybe they're setting that up. That would be a great twist. I'm not gonna lie.
So like, he's working for the banking guild. He does not want the Republic back. So he's not helping the Empire, but he's not helping her either. So that'd be interesting. So that's another possibility. So one of those three, I think, is going to betray Mon by the end of this season. So. Yeah, but trying to remember. Was there anything else? I guess we got to talk about Olaf. Uli died this episode. Oh, spoiler tip. Sorry. It's interesting. The actor who plays Olaf was the dude that Michael Keaton in Batman holds over the edge of the building, and he's like, "Who are you?" "I'm Batman." That's the guy who played Olaf. So that was pretty interesting. I thought it looked familiar, but
Wow, Forrest, how do you even know that?
I looked IMDb. I was like, this guy looks familiar. He's also in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was like the broker in that. Like another minor role, but it's like I thought that guy looked familiar, and I was just like, oh, he was in the first Batman movie. Briefly, but definitely a character actor. But I thought it was just interesting, like you have. I think there was like another theory that like that Olaf was also recycled in the prison system, or he might have like been one of the architects of the prison, and he was like sort of like in prison, so he couldn't divulge any secrets about the prison, instead of killing him. So it's interesting, but I thought his little story this episode was interesting, and like even the doctors are prisoners too. So.
Well, I think the issue with the medics is that they are prisoners themselves, and it's showing that the Empire won't even provide like a proper doctor. It's, hey, you were arrested. Hey, were you a medic? Okay, you're going to be a medic now. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, the Empire cares so little about these people that
they're not even
they
listening
don't have
to their conversations. So.
There's not even a formal structure for like a proper nurse or doctor system. It's just like, oh, you were arrested. We see you were a doctor. Okay, I guess you can take care. And the fact that they talk about how he doesn't even have like the proper medications and the proper like stuff to deal with things, so it just further emphasizes the fact that in reality, they don't care if they kill 100 people. Because 100 people in the size of a galaxy is nothing.
And
they just need more slave labor.
Yeah, like they said in the episode, like they're cheaper than droids.
Yep.
And cheaper to replace too. So it's just crazy that they just don't care. But I think like you said, there's no more than 12 guards on each level, and I think I saw like if there's like 100 prisoners per level, and there's seven levels. There's like 49,000 or like 4,900 prisoners, and there's only like what 72 guards.
Yep.
So something like that. So yeah, definitely enough to overpower them. So
yeah, because you figure there's day shift and night shift, and yeah, the math gets interesting rather quickly.
But that was like interesting. Like he's like the Andy Serkis's character. Like it takes a week for any news to get from like the bottom level to the top level. So. But I thought it was interesting. Like if you rewatch the episode, you see like the lights go out for a second. That's the instant they massacre that entire floor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nuts. So yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's not like Saw level violent, but it's like pretty dark for Star Wars,
And that's what I love. That's why I want R-rated Marvel movies. Like
Punisher,
this type
Blade.
of storytelling.
Yeah.
This type of stuff is what I want. Don't appeal to the masses. Tell the true story.
Yeah. I think Blade just like recently lost his director because
You know what I mean, Tim. You get what I'm trying to go.
Like just give us like R-rated Ghost Rider, Punisher, Deadpool, obviously, Blade.
When you're a teenager reading comics,
it gets dark. Okay, the world gets dark.
So, I guess we're gonna talk about that torture scene real quick. Bix was it was interesting. Like the torture scene was like basically like the cries from this species
race that they massacred. Yeah.
And for some reason, their cries have torture capabilities or something like that. I didn't really understand obviously, it's not good when she listens to it, but I guess like there's some sort of like psychic, trigger that goes off when humans hear these cries, or it seems that way. But it was interesting. Like she's screaming, and like the scream transitions to like the factory equipment going on in the prison. So that was good filmmaking right there.
Actually, what I really love about that scene is there's an homage to when Princess Leia is being tortured.
Oh, yeah.
The door closes and then somebody walks away, and you focus on the footsteps. And it's the same as in A New Hope. So it's actually really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm really loving the writers of the show, because and why I love Rogue One, there's a way to acknowledge the fanboys and tip of the cap to the fanboys.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's what George Lucas did, where he's like, oh, C-3PO was made by Anakin. You remember C-3PO?
And it makes no sense.
He's your favorite droid. You know what I mean? There's a proper way to tip the cap, and then there's what George Lucas did with the prequels, which we will not discuss.
Yeah, so it definitely makes me appreciate the movie Rogue One more, which I saw twice in theaters, and I liked it fine, but I wasn't too entertained by it. And there were definitely some parts I thought were pretty boring, but it's definitely obviously it's fleshing out Andor a lot more, and it makes me. It's making me understand why he hates the Empire so much in that movie, and it's just
Andor always shoots first. I love it. Andor always shoots first.
He's the opposite of Han Solo. It's really great. It's definitely makes you understand. This is the first time we've ever seen why people hate the Empire so much. Because and just going back to the first Star Wars movie, we're just told to hate the Empire, obviously because it's an empire and no democracy is bad, but we're literally being shown why this system is so awful, and why people are so hell-bent to get the Republic back. So I love that the show is doing that. It's definitely it took them 9 episodes, but I think I'm really, really finally invested in this show. And it's definitely obviously Mandalorian, the writing isn't as complex or nuanced. It's more entertainment value. That show, but and more spectacle. But this is I think the writing in this show is definitely the best of all the Disney Plus Star Wars shows before we've gotten and probably better than anything Marvel's done on Disney Plus. Although Loki has had some interesting ideas.
I really like Loki too, so I'm interested to see season 2 of Loki.
Yeah, I'm looking for, that's definitely by far and away the best Disney Plus show that Marvel's produced. And I like the idea that, you know, the Time Variance Authority and like the rules and like the lore they've built with that sort of organization was really well done. The third episode wasn't that good, like where they're stuck on that train. That was probably the only weak part. But and they introduced Kang in the last episode, or one of his variants. Has anyone seen the new Ant-Man trailer? Apparently, Kang's going to be in that as well.
Yeah, how they go to the how oh my god, why am I blanking on all these names? How Kang's castle is in the quantum realm is interesting, and I'm curious to see how that works. So.
Well, you gotta remember in Endgame, like the quantum realm was used to travel back in time, so there is some sort of like weird. It's a region where the rules of time don't apply, I'm guessing, and that's why he's either trapped there and needs to be broken out because he's going to be the bad guy in the Kang Dynasty movie, which is coming out, obviously. So
well, and the other issue too is that in the comics there are good Kangs and there are bad Kangs.
There's a council of Kangs.
Yeah, there's a council of Kangs, but there's always Kangs that go back and kill the good Kangs and try to take over. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be a good Kang and then a bad Kang comes through. If there's more than one Kang, like
he's by far and away the most complex villain in Marvel Comics because there's like obviously there's like several different versions of Kang, but he has different names like Immortus and Scarlet Centurion and Ramatut, and it's I'd probably say like of all the Avengers villains, he's probably like the most prevalent.
And I think in one storyline, he's the reason why Apocalypse becomes Apocalypse.
Yeah, because he was Ramatut and Apocalypse is like Egyptian, or he's sort of sprung up in ancient Egypt. So I would love if they tease the X-Men or have some sort of Apocalypse teams where he's like Ramatut in one of these movies, but I don't think they're going to do Apocalypse right out the gate once they reboot X-Men. No. I think they're probably going to like Mr. Sinister. He's like pretty much
Omega Red.
Omega Red would be cool. I'm wondering if they're going to do like more Wolverine solo movies, since he's like just so popular that his solo series is just as expansive as the X-Men. But yeah, I would love to see Omega Red, like if they ever do like another solo Wolverine movie. I'm wondering if he's going to be in the new Deadpool movie. That'd be a good place to bring him back, because to bring back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
I really worry about with the new Deadpool movie that the Wolverine cameo is going to be like 10 seconds of him walking in the background. We're like, hey, what's up, Deadpool? And then walking away.
Yeah, it seems he's
because that would totally be a Deadpool thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. If it's gonna be rated PG-13, I mean, it probably is. But I'm just gonna like try to. I mean, there's really not much in the MCU I'm looking forward to. I mean, Wakanda Forever is coming out next week. We'll see how.
I don't know if I want to watch. Namor does nothing for me. We talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel, and Namor is definitely one of those. Like,
he's like the very first Marvel character. He's older than Captain America, and he precedes, I think, Aquaman. Basically, Aquaman is like an unabashed rip-off of Namor.
And I will say though, Namor is technically a mutant as well, so that's a great way to introduce mutants. So maybe I'll watch it. But
I never really understood that argument. I thought he was Atlantean. I mean, I don't really understand why they think Namor's a mutant. I mean, maybe because the wings and the feet. Is that why? Is that like a mutation?
I don't know.
I never really understood that argument. I just thought he was half Atlantean, half human.
Like I said, I give zero craps about Namor, and I if that's like the big and there's gonna be a twist at the end too, where Namor turns good right before he destroys Wakanda,
basically. Yeah.
And there's gonna be a third bad guy. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's Atuma. I think Atuma's giving this movie, which was sort of. It's basically it's gonna be like Aquaman. Like Atuma's gonna be like the Ocean Master or the Orm, and he's gonna pretty much trigger a war with Wakanda, so he can, or trigger a war with the surface world, something like that. It's pretty much just gonna be like the rip. I think it's pretty much gonna heavily be ripping off the first Aquaman movie, but I think I would have cared more if Namor was introduced in a Fantastic Four reboot and not in a Black Panther sequel. But
Forrest, speaking of Aquaman, just real quick as an aside, do you remember when you played Aquaman in a Boy Scout skit?
Yep, I remember that. We won. We won.
2001, maybe.
Well, that was a skit that Robbie came up with, right? Because it was like he was Dr. Doom. He tied up this Boy Scout, and like all these superheroes try to untie this knot, and they can't. And like Aquaman comes up, and he's just like, "Does your problem pertain to water?" He's like, "No, I'm tied up." He's like, "Okay, see ya." And then like the last person who walks up is a Boy Scout, and he's like, "Oh, it's a square knot," and he unties it. So I don't know if Robbie came up with that, but that was like sort of it was like a really goofy, just.
That's an old classic. That's an old Boy Scout.
And I think I recycled it at Camp Cherokee a few times too. So I think we won the cabin inspection with that. But yeah, it's like a fun, silly skit if you're a fan of superheroes. We have like Superman come and he tries to like laser eye the knot and he can't get it. And then like Wolverine tries to slash with his claws and he can't do it. And Spider-Man just adds more rope to the rope. And well, I think Tim, you were Dr. Manhattan. You're just like, I just came to perceive reality from a nonlinear perspective. And he just like walks away. And then so we just tried to like get as many superheroes as we could. But yeah, so that was a good one. Anyway, so yeah, Namor, I would have cared. I know we'll see how this movie goes. I think it's gonna make a lot of money, definitely, because the last one did.
Oh, they all do. So
and well, I think Eternals didn't make a whole lot of money. I think that was like only made like barely made its budget back. So that one was like and I think Black Widow didn't make a whole lot of money either. But that was like still sort of like.
Well, so Black Widow is controversial because it was released on streaming. So they were using it. Yeah, they were using the quote unquote lack of revenue, even though people signed up for the service just to watch the movie. And it's a way for Hollywood to hide the revenues so they don't have to pay the actors. And ScarJo, she sued him over it.
And there was like some sort of like out of court settlement, wasn't there? I don't know if there was an actual number.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the same thing happened to Suicide Squad. Like that movie underperformed, but it also came out on streaming the exact same day.
But everybody saw the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad. And it was a great movie. It was the best one they've done.
Oh,
but really quick before we leave, I do have to plug one movie I watched this week. Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. It is phenomenal. Find your red box. Get that movie. Isn't
it directed by the same dude who did the John Wick movies?
Yeah, I think so. I forget his name at the top of my head, but he was.
Which I still haven't seen.
He used to be a stuntman.
Yeah.
Who has become a director, and even on the DVD they talk about how like all these scenes, like how even though he's a director, he's like getting involved with it. But it is such a great movie. It is a very dark comedy action detective film, and it is all these different genres, and at the end of the day you will definitely leave the couch laughing.
Leave the couch happy. Nice. Yep. So Matt, what do you think about James Gunn pretty much becoming the Kevin Feige of the DC universe? Do you think that's going to be a good thing, a bad thing, or just we'll just have to see?
It's intriguing. It's intriguing because there's so much potential there, and whether he will live up to it or sexually harass somebody, we'll see.
It just seems a little brash because apparently they were courting some other people and they just did not want to do it at all because they just did not want to deal with Zaslav or they just did not like his management style. So I'm wondering, like, obviously there's a concern about whether the movies are going to be high quality and, connectivity, which I don't really care for. I just want like the movies to be standalone and just good. I don't really care about like them building like a carbon copy of the MCU, but I'm wondering if it's even gonna last. Like maybe like James Gunn and David Zaslav don't mesh well, and like Gunn just leaves. But
well, I will say this: one of the big problems with the DC universe is the lack of continuity. Mm-hmm. And so having somebody technically in charge of like the continuity will help out DC.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, too, I think I saw this meme the other day. It was literally Batman dragging a ship onto shore, and the ship said the DC universe. Because it doesn't matter what all the characters are. It's really the Batman movies that get people into the seats.
Yeah, but as Marvel's proven, you can take these B-list, C-list characters and make them successful. You just need like a good writer, or just
dude, Peacemaker. Yeah. Like, I loved that show.
Yeah,
and I loved the Suicide Squad. Like, you can do it right, but the issue is the people who did the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, they were independent, and there was nobody there to try to like harness the positivity of that for DC.
Yeah, I mean, it really just goes to show like there are no bad characters, just bad writers and bad directors. So,
in fact, there's a Harley Quinn movie that I really liked, and I hate Harley Quinn.
Was it Suicide Squad or Birds of Prey?
The one that has the title that's like 50 words long. Harley
you
Quinn.
Like that movie?
I really enjoyed it for DC. So when she gets like the other female characters involved, like, it was good for a DC film. Whereas Justice League, I'm like, I'm gonna blow my brains out 10 minutes in.
Well, I think the whole Birds of Prey thing, or the Harley Quinn movie, was like, they wanted to be a Birds of Prey movie, but it wanted to have Harley Quinn as the star, and it's like Harley Quinn isn't in the Birds of Prey in the comics. It's just Oracle Huntress and Black Canary. Why they just added Harley Quinn because she's a popular character. But I don't know. I mean, the James Gunn thing, it's just a lot of we'll see. We'll see if it even lasts. But I mean, hopefully, if it leads to more quality movies, I don't want them all to be like. I don't want every character to be funny like in the Marvel universe.
So I will say this about Marvel: what annoys the fuck out of me is like in Shang-Chi, Awkwafina's character, like these stupid like one-liners when we're having a serious moment. Like, it's one thing when Robert Downey Jr. is doing it as Iron Man, because that's literally his character. But I feel in the Marvel universe, there'll be a serious scene, and then somebody will have a one-liner, and it takes away all that seriousness, because they would rather sell that one-line joke than like build the movie.
Well, they're just trying to get actors whose strength is not quipping and ad-libbing like Robert Downey Jr.'s strengths are, but they're trying to make every character that way, like have them be funny.
Just look at Autumn Trooper and Eagle guy. How there was a scene I remember where they're talking with Zemo on a plane, and they try it like 3 different times. Zemo's like trying to be all serious, and they have these like one-liners, and they all just fell flat, and it killed. It was a bad exposition dump to begin with, but the fact that we try to like do these stupid jokes on top of a bad exposition dump, it was maddening.
And Zemo Zemo didn't really serve any purpose in that show anyway, except like just fan service.
No, he could dance. He could dance, man.
Besides
I play his dancing on repeat all the time.
Yeah, well, at least he had the purple mask, the purple sock on for 3 seconds in that show. So it seemed they were more focused. The showrunners really wanted to do the Flag Smashers, which was strange because like Flag Smasher, like his organization is called Ultimatum. It's not even called the Flag Smashers, but I don't know. That was that show. It's making me angry thinking about it.
Speaking of which, Harrison Ford is General Thaddeus for the Thunderbolts.
Yep.
Wait, what? Love it.
Is he going to be Red Hulk, do you think?
I don't know. Like, if they're going to go that far, but I love that A, they're setting up the Thunderbolts, and then B, he's going to be General Thaddeus. So
yeah, Thunderbolts are basically like the Suicide Squad in the Marvel universe. They're basically just like supervillains. Well, I think in the comic they were supervillains posing as superheroes, but as they, as the comic progressed, they became more heroic.
Actually, it's kind of funny, and this does parallel. The prison that Andor is in resembles where they keep the Marvel villains.
Yep, the raft.
Yep, the raft. Yep, and that's where he approaches them, kind of like the Suicide Squad. But yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not really too excited about anything Marvel related. I mean,
oh, come on, Forrest.
I mean, just really like even
Come
Ant-Man and the
on,
Wasp.
there's gotta be something. There's gotta be
All right.
you know, Spider-Man, Batman.
Maybe the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland if Sony doesn't screw
No. Because like
Spider-Man.
MCUs can kind of like, but still, MCU over DC, yes or no?
We'll see. Cause like, there's nothing like DC related I want to see. Maybe like the Shazam. I mean, even the Shazam sequel doesn't look that interesting to me.
You're going after the Shazam sequel over the MCU.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think you're right. You're right, Matt. Like neither of them are that exciting at the moment. I mean, we'll see what James Gunn does, but there's like nothing superhero related coming out in the next year or two. Then obviously not Kraven the Hunter or Madam Web. Sony's trying to get their Spider-Man universe going
And I think this is the problem too, how they're trying to move on from Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor to these other characters, and these other characters are just falling flat.
Well, they're basically
like,
just
Loki's good, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have She-Hulk, Ironheart, Captain Falcon, and I guess the Winter's still there.
Not Winter Soldier. Never mind.
Because like Lady Thor's already dead. Spoiler. So, but
because even Hawkeye and Black Widow are gone now too.
Well, so. I think Hawkeye's still there. He's not dead, and I think they left the door open for him to come back. But
we're looking at Echo and
Daredevil's coming back. Okay, I am looking forward to Daredevil Born Again. You know, that's hopefully they don't screw that up. But that might be the only thing Marvel related I really want to see.
All I know is I don't need to see another Marvel character jump my Disney screen and change my show on me.
Oh yeah, let's not do that again. So we'll just see. But yeah, there's a lot to look. Actually, there's not a lot to look forward to. But I want to be pleasantly surprised. I want these movies I'm not excited for to come out and be good. I know.
Let's give our listeners something to you know. They're like, yeah.
Well, I think I don't know. I think I might make an effort to see Wakanda Forever next week. So we'll see how that turns out. You know, but we'll just see. So yeah, I don't know what. I guess you can like tweet at us at Zealot Podcast on Twitter, as long as you don't have to pay the $8 that Elon is going to force you to pay.
Hey, but yeah, and you need a sync too, just so you know. You need a sync apparently.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, it's very important.
$8 in a sync to get your blue check.
Yeah, so he's just completely shaking things up. But I guess we're going to be talking about Andor for the next 3 weeks because there's only 3 episodes left, and I don't think there's anything else. I mean, we can probably do Wakanda Forever if y'all can get around to seeing it next week. But you know, I don't know. I know it's a pain in the butt to get to the theater these days. So, but yeah, that's our show. I'm Forrest,
Matt,
and Chip,
and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.